Everybody right now has dreams, don't they, guys? All right, everybody in the NFL, I have a dream of making it in the NFL. I got a dream of winning the Super Bowl. I got a dream of being in the Pro Bowl. I'm really not into dreams anymore, okay? I'm into nightmares. You guys with me on that? You got to end somebody's dream.
This is Raiders Allegiance with Lunatic Raider. Welcome to the dark side.
What is the deal, Raider Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Raiders Allegiance podcast with yours truly, Lunatic Raider. Today we'll be discussing the case for Henry Ruggs III. I know a lot of the fan base was not really settled in as far as the Raiders taking Henry Ruggs at the 12th spot in the first round. And I was one of them because I truly thought CeeDee Lamb was going to be the receiver that we took. But after doing research and digging around numbers and stats, what my opinion is that Henry Ruggs III deserved to be the first receiver taken in the 2020 NFL Draft. And I'm glad that the Raiders reached out and grabbed them with the 12th pick. There's certain things in a player that is God-given that you cannot teach. Al Davis used to always say you can't teach speed, which is correct. You also can't teach vertical, and you cannot teach hand size. These are the three things that put Henry Ruggs III above the rest of the wide receivers that were available in this year's draft. Now, also knowing that this gentleman can run his routes with precision, as well as playing any of the wide receiver spots on the field that Jon Gruden could take advantage of, whether it's the slot, the Y, the X, whatnot. It doesn't matter. You can even put him in the backfield and run plays. Even though they're gimmick plays, you still can run plays with Ruggs with all that speed. Now, the thing that comes into mind when I started seeing that, okay, Ruggs is around 5'11", but it's that 4.27 40 time that makes people drool. But you also got to add in the fact with the 42-inch vertical. That's something that can be tied either. But that comes into play when you're in the red zone. He can also go for a 50-50 ball just like a 6'4 receiver or tight end, just because how high he can jump. Now, the one main factor a lot of people are not mentioning is this man's hand size. Hand size has a whole lot to do with drop passes, whether your hands are small or whether they're large. He just so happens to have 10 1/8 inch hands. Those are massive size hands for a receiver. A lot of receivers are in the 9s. Jerry Jeudy hand size is in the 9s. CeeDee Lamb's is in the 9s. Now let me give you the particulars of the numbers behind these stats. With Henry Ruggs, his hands being 10 1/8, he only had one drop pass this past season in college. He only has 4 drop passes in his whole career. Now, with that being said, if you look at Jeudy had 5 drop passes last year, as well as 5 drop passes the year before in the 2018 season. CeeDee Lamb, he also had 5 drop passes in this past season. So, hands do have a lot to do with catching the ball at the receiver position. Another receiver, to give you an example in the NFL that's considered the best receiver in the league, DeAndre Hopkins. He has 10.08 inch hands. So, this obviously plays a factor. And these are God-given abilities. These are something you can't, there's no workout you can do to make your hands bigger. You know what I mean? You can't. Now, remember Chris Carter, the Hall of Fame receiver that was with the Vikings? What he used to do is, he used to do exercises where he would try to stretch the ligaments in his thumb to get a wider arch in his hand for catching balls. So instead of having hands like this, his thumbs come way down here because he said he practiced massaging and getting those ligaments loose to get that thumb to open up a little larger so you can grab the ball. There's all kind of tidbits great receivers do to improve their game. If Ruggs decides to do that with 10-inch hands already to stretch out the thumb to get a wider grasp on the ball, he's really not dropping the pass. That's very important because a lot of our fan base that I've noticed, not a lot, some would try to compare Ruggs to Hayward Bay. And the only reason why they're giving that comparison is because both of these receivers are lightning fast. The only one difference is Ruggs does not drop passes, and Heyward-Bey did. That was his downfall with us while we let him go, because of the drop passes. He's a hell of a blocker at receiver. He's fast, but he just could not catch. His hands were not great at catching the ball. That is the opposite when it comes to Henry Ruggs III. He has wonderful hands when it comes to catching. There's all kind of game film of this man making one-hand catches, especially his adjustments to the ball in midair. It's spectacular to watch this man play this position. Now I understand what Gruden and Mayock was seeing. They were seeing, a lot of people when they break down film, they watch what they're doing. As far as, running routes, which is, is fine. You didn't have an idea of the 40 time until the combine. So with that being said, the game film is only showing you how this dude produces on the field with route running. You can see his speed in comparison with defenders and whatnot on the field alongside him. But some of the plays he made were plays that were made by instinctively knowing when to look back and know exactly where to locate the ball in air, and also getting his hands, those big 10-inch hands around the ball where there is no drops. That's what we need. We don't need anyone to turn the ball over. Turnovers kill teams, especially when you have a good drive going. Then all of a sudden you want to hit a slant, drop passes, or better yet, even worse, a fumble. Those are things that you can't have if you want to be successful on the offensive side of the ball. So with that, Henry Ruggs is bringing to the table God-given speed, 4.27, God-given ability to jump, 42-inch, and God-given hand size, 10 and an eighth quarter size hands. You can't teach that. So if you got a receiver who has these qualities that's not taught but God-given, but the things that are taught to him was the game of football, where his route running is, you can't knock his route running. He runs great routes. He can come out of any wide receiver position on the field. You can move him around. There's a lot you can do with this guy. Special teams, punt returns, kick returns. Not that we might put him out there to do such, but we go back to the days when Tim Brown was doing that for us, doing special teams. So it can be done. Who knows if he's going to do it or not? Maybe we just focus on him in the offensive side of the ball, which his speed alone is going to help Josh Jacobs. His speed alone is going to help Tyrell Williams. I doubt Tyrell Williams even gets a double cover anymore. He's going to be man-to-man. So all he has to do is beat man-to-man coverage, and he's fast, and he's large for a receiver. So there's a whole lot to equate into this whole scenario of our offense. Gruden has weapons. Carr has weapons. There is no excuse. But Ruggs, he deserved to be the 12th pick, let alone he deserved to be the first overall receiver taken in this year's draft. He's going to prove to us, he's going to prove to the fan, the organization, that this was a correct pick. And after doing my research, like I said, this is true. I believe Ruggs will put up large numbers. A lot of people want to say, well, he didn't have a lot of receiving yards and whatnot when he played in college. But like he said, and like we know with the situation with Josh Jacobs coming out of Alabama, they had to share the ball. They had to share the workload. So, of course, your catches and touchdowns and stuff is not going to be as high as his teammate Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy being a main factor, but you got to think, Jerry Jeudy had the luxury of having Ruggs on the other side of the field for him. So they couldn't just smother Jeudy. Jeudy is a heck of a slot receiver. And that was another thing that came to mind was, why will we take Jeudy knowing he's a slot receiver and we have Renfrow? Renfrow is a hell of a slot receiver for us. Third and Renfrow, there's a reason why he has that name. Because on third down, he will get you the first. He's very sure-handed. He's quick. He knows how to get to the open spots of the defense and sit in it and get the ball. We already have that. Why get Jeudy? You know, same thing with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is a hell of a slot player. They keep saying that. They kept saying if Jeudy was to go to another team, oh, he'll be perfect in the slot. They could talk about the Cowboys. If he went to the Cowboys, oh, he'll be perfect in the slot. You have Amari Cooper playing the one who suffered from drop passes, if you guys don't recall, which was one of the things that hurt us a lot. And then the effort that Amari used to give us wasn't always 100% effort every play. I done seen him in plays where he stopped the route because he thought the ball was overthrown, but the defender kept going and intercepted it, like when we played against the Chargers. I'll never forget that. I remember on one play when he ran the wrong route in the end zone, he ran to his left when the play specifically had him going to his right. Carr threw the ball to the right. Cooper wasn't there. Cooper ran the wrong route and went to the left. Now, I'm not going to just go hard on Cooper, but you know what I mean? It is what it is. So, with Ruggs, I see a dude that loves the game. I see the dude that wants to perfect his game. He has reasons, he has motivations to be the best, you know? And after watching him get that phone call from Gruden asking him how would he like to be a Las Vegas Raider during the draft, and then seeing his documentary they had with his path to the draft on YouTube, I heard his family in the background. Thank you, Lord. We asked for Vegas. We asked for Vegas. Thank you. They wanted to come to the Raiders. He wanted to be a Raider. You cannot knock this dude. He wants to be in the silver and black. He will produce, and he will produce at a high level. This dude just has the it factor, and he also has God-given gifts that he can incorporate into his receiving game. This is what separates him from Jeudy. This is what separates him from Lamb. He's not like those guys. They're not bad at all. They're good. They're going into a good situation with the teams that drafted them. But we drafted the player that we needed for our system. What we needed was a fast receiver with good hands who can run routes where we can move to every receiving position. Play every position, move around, not just stay one side of the field or the other, but move around. Know every receiver's position. Tyrell Williams has to know everybody's position, receiver-wise. Renfro has to know every receiver position because they're going to be playing each one of these positions. The offense does not call for you to specifically be a number one, to be a number two, to be a slot. It calls for you to be where it asks you to be for that certain play call. It's balance, you know. Ruggs is going to bring this. So to those who are kind of like on the edge or not really, I don't know about Ruggs being number one overall for us, and do not worry. It's going to work out. They know what they're doing, and they being John Gruden and Mayock, they know what they're doing. They're putting the right pieces in to make this offense dynamic. It would be hard for defenses to guard this team. Hands down. It's going to be hard because you're going to have to pick your poison. Plain and simple. All we need in this offense is for Carr to bring it. 2016, he had Cooper and Crabtree. Crabtree was his go-to guy. Don't forget when we beat New Orleans with the 2-point conversion to win the game. That was Crabtree he kept going to for the win. You know? So Crabtree was sure-handed. That's what we known Crabtree to be. Remember when they compared him with Heyward-Bey? We took Heyward-Bey over him because Heyward-Bey was faster. But Crabtree was the sure-handed receiver, and we overlooked that. But you won't overlook that with Ruggs, because now you're getting speed and sure-handedness. We won. You hit the lottery. You hit the lottery. Come on now. That's why a lot of people don't really speak too highly on fast receivers, because they're just fast and that's it. But Ruggs is more than that. He's a receiver that just happens to be fast. That's how I look at it. He's a hell of a receiver that just happens to be fast. Fast as the wind, as the autumn wind. You know what I mean? I can't wait till this stuff comes to being normal again, because they're going to release the full 17-week schedule next week from what I'm hearing. But I can't wait for the new Allegiant Stadium to open. I can't wait to see Ruggs out there with Josh Jacobs and Renfro and Tyrell Williams, and not to mention Darren Waller. Come on now. You got Ruggs to take the safeties with him. You could bring Darren Waller underneath. There won't be safeties for another 20 yards to even make the tackle. You know, there's all kind of stuff you got. Moreau from LSU tight end. You got Witten, the veteran that, he might not be as fast, but he's sure-handed. He finds the soft spots in the defense and he can sit down in them. So we're constantly throwing waves at you. Gruden already said he wants to do 2, 3 tight end type sets at one time on the field. You know how confusing that's going to be? You got Moreau, you got Darren Waller, and you put Witten in as a 3 tight end type set. You can throw to either one of these 3 tight ends. You know, Josh Jacobs, they want to incorporate into the passing game. He might start off in the backfield, and next thing you know, he splits out to the right. And then all of a sudden, you might have Ruggs replace him. What the hell just happened? You don't know. You know what I mean? Gruden got options now. He's not limited. No more is he limited. The playbook just opened up. You know what I mean? And not to mention the other players we got in the draft. You know, Bowden. Come on now. This dude is, like they call him the Joker. There's so much you can do with him. You're going to have defenses really sitting there wondering, okay, what we supposed to do? You don't know. Because now you have weapons on the field that all of them have the potential of taking it to the house. Defenses, you just going to have to flip a coin and choose which one it is. And if you choose wrong, that's 6 on the scoreboard. So with that being said, Henry Ruggs III was the right pick, was the perfect pick, and deserved to be the first receiver taken off the board. Congratulations, Mr. Ruggs. I can't wait to see you in uniform, rocking that number 11 in the silver and black. Man, you got a fan base behind you, man. We're more than just a fan base. It's the nation, the Raider Nation. This is a family, man. Welcome to the family. Can't wait for them touchdowns. Practice your dances. This is Lunatic Raider. You've been watching Raiders Allegiance. I'm out.